Recording's in progress, which means I have to behave myself. All right, so we're going to talk today about lead follow-up, 2022 version of lead follow-up. Now, some of it is going to be very similar to lead follow-up of 2021 and 2020 and 1920, okay? We're going to talk about some of the similar things, but there's a couple different things that we're going to talk about today. And we're going to start out with this. Here's going to be part of our theme today of lead follow-up, something that you've probably never heard me say before. Dave, I want to give you credit. Apparently, whatever you said was the most exciting thing that anyone's going to hear, because 2 people left as soon as I started talking. So you clearly are the ringleader here because they don't want to hear from me. All right. Here's what I want you to write down. 2022 follow-up plan. Get out of the follow-up business. Get out of the follow-up business. What the hell am I talking about? Nobody knows, but we're going to find out. Okay. As a whole, nationally and the MLS per se, is the expectation that there is going to be less transactions this year or more transactions?
Less.
Right. So I see a couple of you pointing down. You can comment in the chat box. The more interaction, the better this will be. Less transactions. Okay, great. Now, for those of you that don't know, we are currently at the highest amount of active real estate licenses nationally than we've ever had. Okay, most active real estate licenses that we've ever had nationally is at this very moment. Because during the pandemic, a lot of people lost their jobs. So naturally, when you lose your job, you think, I can go be a real estate agent. So all these people go get their real estate license. Now, you and I know that most of those people don't make it, right? Real estate, despite what everybody believes, can be a very difficult job. Yes, right? Can be very difficult. This is not something that you just kind of wing.
This is Dave.
Okay. So, but here's the point. There are now a lot more people that technically could take a deal. So you have less total transactions and more people competing for those transactions, which means, write this down, you need to constantly be on the hunt. You need to constantly be on the hunt for more deals. Now you can phrase that however you want. You could say, I got to start every day at 0. I need to prospect every day. Every day I don't prospect, I'm not in business. Okay, whatever, however you want to word it. You need to be on the hunt, because if you're not on the hunt, you're going to miss out on the transactions that are available, even though there's not going to be as many. Am I making sense so far?
Yeah.
Okay, great. So what's one of the things that keeps us from hunting for new leads every day?
Distractions, like
Distractions, sure.
Not sticking to a precise schedule.
Not sticking to a precise schedule. All correct. There's one.
Too many leads.
That's the one. Say it again.
Too many leads.
Too many leads. One of the reasons we're not hunting every day is because we have already too many leads. Either A, too many leads, so we're too busy, or B, we do the, I'm good. I've got leads. Now, be honest. Who here besides me has ever been convinced that every single one of their leads was going to lead to a closing?
Guilty.
Robert, I got 10 leads. That's 10 deals.
everyone else is lying.
Yeah. I got 10 leads right now. That's 10 deals, Robert. I don't have time to prospect. I mean, are you kidding me? If I close 10 deals this year at 15,000 a pop, I'm cruising. I might not work the rest of the year after these 10 deals pop, right? So we either A, are not hunting every day because we're working leads that maybe aren't that great leads, or B, we're a little complacent. We feel pretty good because we think every lead we have is going to close. So this is what I'm talking about with the lead follow-up, that we need to get out of the follow-up business. We need to figure out faster, do you have a deal or do you not? Because if there's less transactions and more agents, we don't have time to babysit leads that aren't going to do something in the next 7 to 10 days. Does this make sense so far? Okay,
Yes.
great.
Yeah.
Great. So moving on to the next step on that. You need to set some standards in terms of leads, of how many buyer leads versus listing leads that you can carry at one time. Okay. If you have 10 buyer leads, what's the time frame before you totally lose all your hair?
Right away.
3 in.
You have to unload them, refer them out.
Okay. Now, some of you don't have enough listing leads to say, I can't take buyer leads. That's fine. We're building a business here. But you need to make sure that you're capping how many buyer leads am I really working at one time, because you need, if nothing else, to set up time to go get what?
Listings.
Listing leads.
Listings.
Listing leads. So if you're taking 5 or 6 buyer leads at a time and you're showing them 3, 4, 5 properties, writing up a bunch of offers, even if they're motivated, you're not setting up time to go get listing leads. So part of your lead follow-up structure is you need to cap how many buyer leads can I take at one time, unless you're a buyer's agent. Okay. If you're a buyer's agent, that's, you got to take the buyer leads. Okay. But if you're not, you need to put a cap on that. How many can you take? So that's number one. So we need to find out what's a lead faster. Who here has leads currently in their system that they've had for 3, 4, 5 weeks? So I have the highest producer in the company raise their hand and everyone else is lying.
I do.
I think we all do.
Oh.
Okay.
I did.
Feel free to speak up. Okay. This is a safe place. Safe place. No one's judging you here. Okay. Do you want to know why nobody's judging you here? Because there's some people that wish they had a lead that was 3 or 4 or 5 weeks old, because it would be better than the 0 they currently have. Okay. So it's a safe place. We're all guilty of it. We're all guilty of it. So you have leads that are 3, 4, 5 weeks old, month old, 2 months old. Or as Tony Smith would say, one of my favorite lines, have you ever had a 1-year anniversary with a lead? Who gets who flowers? Okay. You need to get those leads off your lead board. Now, you don't necessarily have to throw them away, because I know most of you won't throw leads away, but you need to get them off your lead board. They need to go in a follow-up system, like a database follow-up every couple months, every month, check in. If they're not willing to play the game in the next 1 to 2 weeks, you need to move on and get back on the hunt for more deals. So let's walk through. How do we decipher? How do we get these leads moving forward in a week or 2? I want you to write this down. Redefine your definition of aggressive lead follow-up. And then after you do that, double it. So what do I mean by that? Okay. Well, my version of aggressive lead follow-up, Robert, is I call them, usually I call them once a week. Now I'll call them twice a week. Okay, double that, 4 times a week. Normally I call them once a day until we get them moving forward. Double it, twice a day. You got to get them moving forward or moving out. Okay? One way or the other. Move forward, move out. But here's the thing. This is the key. You're not being mean. You're not being rude. You're simply trying to figure out, are you willing to play, or is now not the time for you? And here's the thing, anyone is okay. What you don't, yes or no is okay. What don't you want? Yes or no is okay. What don't you want?
But they listed with
You
somebody
don't want
else.
to be,
That they list
Or-
with somebody else, but
or-
if you ask
or
them
be
if
in
they're looking to buy or
Fantasyland.
sell, yes or no is fine. What's not okay?
being in Fantasyland.
Maybe Fantasyland, right, Jamila? Maybe, right? Okay, guys, when you were single, you ask a girl, you go see a girl, right? You want to go out, maybe. That's a no. You're never going to see that girl again. Okay? It's not going to happen. Girls have no idea what I'm talking about because guys are like, yeah, whenever you want to go. Right? That's
Let's
just the
have
way it
dating
is.
example.
Oh, they know, buddy. Come on now.
You don't want to be in maybe land. Yes or no. And I'm okay with either one. It's okay. But we need to figure out the yes or the no. So you get a lead. Write this down. You have 1 week to figure out, are they going to do something or not? 1 week. Not at 1 month, not 1 quarter. You got a week. But in order for them to figure out, in order for you to fairly figure out if they're a real candidate to buy or sell within 1 week, you have to aggressively go after them. You can't call them once a week and leave a voicemail and say, well, it's what it is.
Robert, if you spoke with them yesterday and you want to double the lead follow-up, how would you say the next day? Like, what's new? Like, what's to say? Just here?
Well, what was the conversation like yesterday? Why didn't they set an appointment yesterday?
We're not ready, or like, for example, like they have to wait for like probate judge documents or things like that.
Okay, then it's not really a lead because you can't do anything with it.
Okay.
It's a follow-up. If I can't do anything, if there's no way for me to get a listing appointment this week, there's no way for me to get a contract signed, you're not really a lead, you're a follow-up. I'm going to stay in touch with you when the opportunity comes and I'll take it. That's just a condition.
Okay.
It's the same type of thing if they say, well, I am interested in selling, but when we retire, well, when are you retiring? Well, at the end of the year. Okay, well, nothing I can do. Now, I'm not going to throw them away. I'm going to stay in touch with them because I want the listing at the end of the year, but they're not on my lead board right now. Your lead board, your lead cards, whatever you're doing should be people that are going to do something in the next couple of weeks. Everyone else goes in a follow-up, just like your database. Okay, stay in touch with people, but they don't need to be on your lead board. So here's my version of lead follow-up. You don't have to follow this, but this gives you an idea of aggressive lead follow-up. At the beginning of the week, lay out all your leads, either on your board, your cards, your CRM, whatever, and write where are they in the process of getting an appointment. So I've got all these leads. Okay, this one is a listing lead. I need to set an appointment. This is a buyer lead. I need to get them to go see property. Okay, great. You have 1 week to move them one step. 1 week to move one step, meaning that I need to set a listing appointment with them. Means as long as I get an appointment within the next week, I'm good. Doesn't have to be a signed contract, doesn't have to be live on the market. I need to get them one step. So here's what I would do. First day you call them, try to set the appointment. You can't do it, call them again the next day. Still can't set the appointment, try to text them the next day. Still can't get the appointment, send them an email the next day. Still can't get the appointment, call them again the next day. So then the next week comes around. I look at my leads. Okay, here's John. Where was John last week? Well, John was a listing lead that I needed to set an appointment with. Where is he at? He's still a listing lead that I need to set an appointment with. Move on. Move on from John.
5 p.m.
If I leave you 4 voicemails, 1 text message, and an email, and you never respond to me, are you motivated to list your house right now?
No.
Everybody else? Okay, I'll just talk to Abigail now.
No.
Let me keep my mic off. No.
All right.
No.
Come on. Come on now. So move on. Don't just say, okay, well, I'll try again next week. No. That lead is preventing you from going to find another one. You're hanging on to that lead. And then guess what? You go down to the next lead. Well, I didn't set an appointment with them. So let me hang on to this lead. This was a buyer lead and I never got them to get their pre-approval letter, but I'm going to hang on to this one. That's another buyer lead that they're pre-approved, but I can't get them off the couch to go see property. But I'm going to try. So now I'm hanging on to that one. Now you got 4, 5, 6 leads that you're hanging on to, and they are not reciprocating the excitement that you have. Move on. Get out of the follow-up business. You have 1 week to get them to one step. If they're not going to do it, you don't have to throw them away. But say, hey, you know what? Let me push these to the side. Let me call them in a month. See if anything's changed. Let me put them on my email list. Does this make sense so far?
Yes.
Am I driving anybody crazy yet? Are some of you starting to have panic attacks because you're starting to realize you don't have many qualified leads?
Too many. For me personally, too many leads, I get like less productive. I just don't know where.
That's the point. That's the point, Jamila, is you have too many leads and they're leads of people that aren't doing anything right now. So we don't go hunt for new business, or we have so much stuff going on that we're focused or we lose our focus.
Gee, thank you, Robert.
I'm telling you, I'm not trying to get you to just like, oh my gosh, Robert's telling me to throw all this stuff away. No. If there's less business and more agents, you have to hunt every day. And we can't keep these leads for weeks at a time. Sometimes we do this on coaching. I have coaching calls with some of you. And what I've been doing a lot recently is I'll say, great, tell me about the new leads that you've generated. Because you want to tell me about all the old stuff. I don't want to talk about the old stuff. Well, Robert, do you still have so-and-so on your list? No, I don't actually. I deleted them from the list on my coaching notes. I want new stuff. We got to get out of the lead follow business. So I want you to write this question down. Here's a great question to figure out what people want. How you can figure out if they're going to buy or sell now. Ask this question. I'm going to repeat it a couple times. Okay. This is Neil Schwartz 101. What do you need to hear or see from me? What do you need to hear or see from me to help you decide if it's better for you to list now or later? What do you need to hear or see from me to help you decide if it's better for you to list now or later? Ask that question to every one of your leads. Now, here's what's important about that. If you say that with the right tonality, it comes across like you're willing to help. And if you say it that way, list now or later, it takes away commission breath, takes away desperation. Because what some people do is they go, well, what do you need to see to help you list your home right now? That really shows that you care about the client. Right? Or I could say, what do you need to hear so you can help you decide if you want to list now or later? Because I'm taking the pressure away. I'm not saying you got to list right now. Maybe it's not their time.
I'm CCing you on an offer. Please make sure to.
So now I can figure out exactly what they want. So I don't just keep spewing numbers at them. Hot market. You got to sell right now. Changing market. Hey, look there's a new listing in your area. Okay, let's be honest with ourselves. Sometimes, this is where we fail sometimes in lead follow-up. We fail sometimes because we think everyone understands real estate the way we do. Okay? We think everyone understands the way real estate we do. So here's what I mean. We send them real estate stuff and we assume that they go, that makes sense. And we don't follow up. We don't explain it. Now imagine if someone did that to us, right? Imagine if a doctor just sends us an email that says, hey, this is what's going on in the medical field. And we're supposed to go, oh, well, then in that case. No, most doctors would send us stuff and we would just look at them and go, uh-huh. Yeah. Or for those of you that are not car people like myself, a mechanic could take every dollar I have if he wanted to. I don't know anything about cars, okay? So a mechanic could go, oh, you need a new, you need a new Smith rod. I'm like, oh my God, I didn't even think about that. Yeah, give me 2, just in case. You know, I don't know anything. But people don't know everything about real estate. So where we fail in lead follow-up is we go, well, I'm emailing them properties in their area so they can see the change in the market. First of all, you're emailing them properties and you're assuming that they're reading your email. That's number one. Number two, if they are reading your email, you're assuming that they're not just skimming through it. When do most people read email?
End of the day, at night,
At night, well, when they're doing what?
other things.
Other things. So you're sending them an email, assuming that they've blocked off everyone else. All right, everyone, leave me alone. Jack sent me an email, and I'm going to sit down, and I'm going to focus on this email that Jack sent me. Okay, I don't want no distractions because I got to read it word for word and figure out exactly what's on this email. So okay, so we're assuming that they read it, number one. Number two, we're assuming that they didn't read it as they're doing other things, as Matab said. And then number three, we're assuming that they understand what any of this means to them. Well, look, here's the listings in your in your area, and we're assuming that they read this and go, oh my gosh, well, now I get it. They don't. You need to be more aggressive with lead follow-up. Ask the question, what do you need to hear or see from me? So they say, well, if I see that prices are slowing down in my marketplace, then I'll sell my house. Let's say they assume that. Now, you could be thinking, gosh, I've sent you all these listings showing you that it's slowing down. They don't get it. So you have to ask specifically and then say, great. Now, here's the follow-up. When can we get together, either in person or virtually, for me to walk you through this? You need to increase face-to-face contact. If you want to convert more leads, you need to increase face-to-face contact. It doesn't have to be actually in person, but you could do Zoom, Microsoft Teams, Google Hangouts, something like that, because you're going through numbers with people and you're explaining it over the phone. Not everybody's analytical. Okay. Now, again, this goes to the email thing. You're calling them on the phone. They're probably reading emails while they're listening to you on the phone. And then you're explaining to them how the market's up and down and this and that, face to face. Get them to show them the stats, show them info sparks, show them what's going on in the market, explain it to them so they understand. Get more interaction with people. Don't just email them or text them the stuff. Figure out what's going to move them and then get a meeting to show them that. Or show them that now's not the time. Let's say they go, well, you know what? If I see that prices start to go down in my area, then I'll sell it. Okay, great. Let's look it up. And then you go and you realize that prices are still skyrocketing in the area. Hey, look, looks like prices are still skyrocketing. Maybe now's not your time. Okay, cool. Thanks for showing me. But get that interaction with people. Ask them what they need to see and then show it to them. Don't just email it to them and assume they understand. Okay? But ask that question. Figure that out. Another question you can write down, if they're not quite getting it, if they're not quite buying into it, chances are they've come up with their own thoughts on the real estate market. Do you have any leads that have their own opinions on the real estate market? Yes?
Yes.
Okay. So
Every single one.
every single one. Okay, great. So this is how you get past that. This is how you figure out if this lead is going to move forward or not. We have to get past this wall. We have to get past the wall faster. So ask this question. I'm sure you've heard, read, or seen something about the real estate market recently. I'm sure you've heard, read, or seen something about the real estate market recently. What questions do you have that I can answer? I'm sure you've heard, read, or seen something about the real estate market recently. What questions do you have that I can answer? We got to figure out what's on their mind to get them to move forward. Because we're
what
showing
question?
them.
Sorry, Robert, what question?
Yeah, what questions do you have that I can answer?
Hey,
You've
Robert,
heard,
can
read,
you?
or seen something about the real estate market recently. What questions do you have that I can answer? Because we're giving them the most valuable information out there, right? You have the inside track. You have all the goods, and they're not getting it because they read something else. Okay. They read from Bob Johnson's real estate blog in a basement in Louisville, Kentucky, that the real estate market is headed for a fall. Well, of course, if Bob Johnson from the basement of Louisville, Kentucky says that the real estate market's going to fall, then clearly that's what's going to happen. But we're sending them information. We're explaining information. They're not getting it because they've read something else. They've heard something else. Who here knows somebody that's not in real estate, but is a quote unquote real estate expert? Everybody. Everybody's got a friend, a
Especially
family
the
member.
engineers.
Oh, I was having this conversation the other day. Well, the market's going to crash. And then I had to go, okay, here we go.
Robert, how do we?
So
Robert-
hold on a second. So tell me, right? And then I have to ask the questions and then I have to walk them through that because I do this for a living. And then they don't, right? But somebody heard that and doesn't do it for a living and they go, well, I mean, you know, I have no reason to think that Bob is wrong. So maybe the market is going to crash and maybe that's, you know, maybe that's why I should wait, or maybe that's why I should do this, or whatever the case may be. And meanwhile, you're the expert. Hey, look at this. And they're going, yeah, but Bob's a friend of mine. And you're a real estate agent, which means you're just after what?
Commission.
Commission. Bob's not after my commission. You are, Robert, you greedy bum. You're just telling me what I want to hear to take my listing. And you try to do it over the phone, try to do it via email, you're not going to get anywhere. Get a face-to-face and say, let me show you. Yes, Jamila.
How do we become that agent? Is it just by previewing properties? Because, you know, a lot of times we just focus on the prospecting and we don't focus on other things. To be honest, I just focus on prospecting.
Other things like what?
Like today was probably the first day I previewed property after hearing, like, you know, my coaches tell me for 2 years.
Okay.
So
Good
like,
job.
how do we like really become that knowledgeable agent besides
Just
previewing
keep previewing
property?
property, keep previewing property. And every day, or at least every couple days, go into the MLS and check to see what's been listed, what's gone pending, what's expired, what's canceled. Know what's going on in your local area. Every month, once a month, go to InfoSparks and see what the trends are. It's not hard because the MLS does a lot of it for you. All you have to do is log in and see. So somebody says, you know, Melinda had to do a price reduction earlier, right? She mentioned that earlier and she got the listing, got the contract signed and everything went well. But if you go, but you can't just go to the seller and say, hey, look, we need a price reduction. What do you mean? Every other real estate agent's telling me that market's hot. But if you go to the MLS and you see that in that local market, expireds are double than they were this time last year, the days on market is up, the number of price reductions is up, and you can show that to them. Now it's like, this is what's going on in the marketplace.
Right. And
So
certain
you just have to go into the MLS, utilize the free services.
Okay, so I guess because I had a conversation with another realtor that's on Zoom, and we're wondering to ourselves, like, when we say the market is hot, what really does that even mean? Like,
It doesn't. That's why you shouldn't say it. You want to know what crappy real estate agents do? They use vague statements. Market's hot. I had this question. Jack and I were having this conversation the other day on the call. We were joking about people coming up to us and saying, well, is the market good right now? I don't know. Are you interested in buying, selling, maybe a second home, an investment property? What are you thinking about? But I mean, all jokes aside, I don't know. Is the market good? Well, are you buying? Yeah, I want to buy. Not really. Guess what? You live in Southern California. The market's never going to be good. Is the market good right now? Are you selling? Yeah, I guess it's good. I don't know. What does that mean? The market's hot. To who? You got to be specific. But this is where we fail in lead follow-up, because we just tell people, oh, the market's hot, you should sell. The market's hot, you should sell. And the owners are going, I don't know what any of that means. I have no idea what that means. Market's hot. What does that mean? Oh, the market's changing. I don't know what that means either. Or the buzzword is shifting. Market is shifting like Platonic plates, apparently. Okay. Nobody knows, well, what does shifting mean? What does this mean? Interest rates are higher. What does that mean to me as an owner? Is this making sense to people? We've got to be specific to get them to move forward, but you need to figure out what's going to move them by asking questions, and ask them sooner. Don't wait until week 2 to ask this question. Say it the first time you talk to them. We've got to get these leads moving forward or moving out faster.
Robert, can I?
Yes. Hold on one second, Chris. Go ahead.
Do you
Jay.
mind if I show something that I used 2 weeks ago that helped?
Not right now. I know what you're talking about. It is very good, but not right now, only because I'm running out of time.
All right.
So we'll get
why I
that
asked.
maybe tomorrow. Yes, Chris.
Okay, so lead follow-up, I get it. What you said is great. Going into finding out the quickest way to move forward is I think you got to really get in and asking them for their motivation. So
Yes.
try to get that the most, because 2 things that I make it a goal now that every conversation, if I find something, is find the motivation and time. So how quicker can you get in to get that? Because without those 2 things, it's very difficult to follow up and
Be a
move quickly.
5-year-old.
Hmm?
Be a 5-year-old. Here's what I mean. Ask why.
Why?
That's
Okay.
it. That's it. I'm thinking about
Why?
selling.
Mhm.
Why? Well, I want to move to San Diego. Why? Well,
Why is that
I got a
important to you?
job
Yeah.
transfer. I'm going to be a professor at San Diego State University. Great. Now I know why they're moving.
Right. So yeah, that's
That's
it.
it.
Knowing those 2
Don't-
features. Yep.
That's it. That's it. Chris brings up a great point. We overcomplicate it. Remember this, okay? I said this a long time ago, and this is probably one of the biggest things that I could ever teach anybody, right? Is this one particular thought, and we'll get wrapped up with here in terms of trying to figure out people's motivation. You don't have to come up with magic words. You just have to make sense. Okay? I came up with that however long ago, and it's probably one of my best. You don't have to come up with magic words. You just have to make sense. And sometimes being a 5-year-old is all you need to do. Why? Well, I want to move from this place. Why? Well, there's, the crime is really higher. Why? Well, I think this, and this, and this. Okay. I just figured out your motivation. Thanks. See you tomorrow at 6.
Hey, Robert, if they
Yes,
say
Michael.
they got divorced, do we ask why too?
You could.
only if you're trying to date one of them, so you can figure out what you don't do wrong.
I'm sorry. No, I just want to ask you, Robert, all those beautiful questions that you make about the follow-up, can you
Yep.
email them to us later?
Yeah. Yes, I can.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
I think it's exactly what you're saying. The logic does make them think, but then the emotion is going to make them move.
Right. But you got to figure out what the emotion is.
Right.
So let me give you another example. Then we'll wrap up because I'm already going over time. We're going to wrap up on this. Okay. Do you ever run into somebody that says, have you ever thought about selling? They say, well, I don't know where I'm going to go.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know where I'm going to go. This is going to be the last point that we cover. Okay. And we'll wrap up from here. If you ask somebody if they're looking to buy or sell and they're not interested, they've never thought about it, what are they going to say?
I'm
Not interested.
I don't
Not
know.
interested.
Right now.
No, not interested, whatever. So write this down. Anything other than a no or not interested, dig deeper. Anything other than a no or not interested, dig deeper. So, because here's why. They've at least thought about it a little. Find out what else is there. So they say, have you ever thought about selling? And they say, well, where am I going to go? That means they've thought about it. Now, remember this. They're moving either because of the pain of the current place or the pleasure of the next one. So if they say, well, where am I going to go? Instantly, I now know there's a pain in the current place because they don't know where they're going to go yet, but they know they want to get the hell out of where they're at. Well, I don't know where I'm going to go. Well, Mr. and Mrs. Homeowner, usually when people tell me that, there's usually something they don't like about their current place. So let me ask you, why would you leave this place? Well, the truth is, it's just too small. I really want, bigger rooms. I've just uncovered something. Now, is it going to turn into a deal? I don't know, but I've now uncovered something and I have to keep digging and digging and digging and going from there. So anything that a no, not interested, find out something else. Well, I would be interested in moving up, but the replacement properties are so high. Wow, you're right. Where are you going to go? If money wasn't an object, if the replacement property wasn't so high, where would you go? Well, I want to go to the beach. Of course you do. When? Why? Blah, blah, blah. Open something up. And then set up an appointment to figure out the next step, which is the net. Well, I don't know where I'm going to go. I don't know where you're going to go either. Why don't we do this? Why don't we get together for 15 minutes? Let me show you what you're going to net on this property. And then we'll see if that net is enough to get you the next property. That's a lot better than just saying, all right, well, they don't know where they're going to go. Find out more. There's either a pain of the current place or a pleasure of the next one. Go further. Questions on anything we went over today?
Hey, Robert,
Yes.
like you started at the beginning and you said, now we have more real estate agents than ever, and we have less transactions now, meaning that, especially when you're talking about follow-up, all those agents that are up there, they're also following up and our leads, and we're thinking that we are the only one talking to them. And you notice, and then when you talk to them, they already talked to 3 or 4 other agents. They're up there too, and giving some advice as well.
Well, let me tell you something. To Michael's point, and he brings up a great point. If you think you are the only person that knows that person is interested in buying or selling, you are fooling yourself. They have told multiple people. And if you think that they don't know someone who's a real estate agent, you're fooling yourself. There's a lot of people out there with an active real estate license. Now, that doesn't mean there's a lot of active real estate agents. But the point is, they've got a license, so they have an opportunity to do it. You need to get up every day and hunt and go find more deals, and you need to get leads, and I need to get them in or out faster because I don't have time to mess around with wasted leads when there's not another transaction just flooding in. That's, if nothing else, that's the point we have to get across with lead follow-up. It's got to be more aggressive. It's got to be more intentful. It's got to be faster. It's got to be more in-depth with questions. You got to hunt every day.
Hey, Robert, real quick, when you said that there are other agents over there waiting and talking to them, I was going to one of my listing presentations, and the sellers, they are not only talking to realtors, investors are calling them, knowing that, the inventory is low or whatever, it's short, and they are offering their, they want to buy the house. So they're not talking to realtors only, they're talking to investors as well. And they call them directly. They're doing the direct call. They're doing the grinding for us.
That's it. Yeah, that's it. We just got to be on the hunt every day. And you got to, and you just got to be aggressive. Lead follow-up. Going to be on the hunt. You're going to lose deals to a variety of different reasons. You got to go get more. All right, that's all I got. Hopefully there was 1 or 2 things that were helpful for you today. If there wasn't, hopefully I entertained you for lunch. I'm good with either one of those.